Okay, so this is the first for my channel, Joel's DIY. I am presenting my latest haul from all the thrift stores and Goodwills that I've been able to go into. Due to quarantine, the Goodwills have actually been closed off for a couple weeks already, and haven't been able to buy anything from there. This past week, since on summer break, I've been roaming around the thrift stores trying to find cool stuff to pick up. So I did indeed find a few things that I wanted to share today on my channel. So this would be thrift store haul part 1 or episode 1. So one of the first things I wanted to share was my collection of VHS tapes. I found this at a thrift store, not a Goodwill, but just a off-brand, I guess, thrift store you can call it. This is the Back to the Future Trilogy. These are probably the same type of tapes that I watched Back to the Future when I was a kid, and it had a nostalgia factor to it, so I decided to pick them up even though they're VHS. It has got this really cool tape that I still haven't seen yet that I wanted to eventually watch and see what that's all about, because Secrets of the Back to the Future trilogy should be interesting to watch. And then we also got a big stack of CDs that I picked up. The first ones that I picked up were actually, I would say, most of Modest Mouse's discography. I've only pretty much listened to this one so far, and it's okay. They're a rock band from Seattle, and I wanted to listen to their music to see if I liked it or not. And I've enjoyed this album primarily. I don't know. I haven't watched this. I haven't heard this one yet. These are just, I guess, a bunch of B-sides or early recordings. And then this is supposed to be like their second best album, or their first album that's the best. I'm not sure. But I'll be listening to these, giving their music a try. So that's one of the first buys that I made. And then I got Eric Clapton, the Cream of Eric Clapton. I actually have this on VHS and on tape. But this is actually the music from, I guess, the actual DVD and VHS. I'm a little disappointed that they don't have live versions here. That's probably the only thing I would change about any of these song lists, because I do wish that they had I wish they had Badge live on CD, because I actually really like that version. But I mean, I'm gonna enjoy this because I love Eric Clapton. Okay, and then I also found the very beast of Dio. I think this was a very good find because I've been wanting to listen to Dio for a while. I just haven't been able to find any CDs. But this is going to be my first listen to it, and I look forward to it. I haven't really heard too many of these songs. I heard of Holy Diver, Stand Up and Shout. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try as well, which I also look forward to. And then I ended up buying Inxs Kick. It was only $1 at this off-brand Goodwill store or thrift store that I got. I actually already have a copy of this. I just thought that I was missing it, so I ended up buying it again. But I'll probably leave this copy in the garage because it's one of my favorite albums. And then another very good buy at this off-brand Goodwill was Motley Crue Dr. Feelgood. My sister used to have the Greatest Hits, Decade of Decadence Greatest Hits album, but I don't know. I think she still has it, or it got lost. I don't know. But this is one of Motley Crue's best known albums. And then I also got the very best of Fleetwood Mac. Obviously, I prefer Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac better than the more well-known Fleetwood Mac version, but I still like a lot of their songs. So This also has some of their later recordings, so I'm kind of looking forward to hear this album. And then I got this Grover Washington Jr. album. I do have a lot of his stuff on vinyl because I've been able to find it at Goodwill's from year to year. But I like Mr. Magic. I want to listen to the other songs, see if this is really an ultimate collection. And then I found one Led Zeppelin album, In Through the Outdoor. I have this on vinyl too. Not one of their best albums, but I'm going to go ahead and just give it a listen on CD, give it another chance. I'll probably enjoy it because I enjoy pretty much everything Led Zeppelin. And then I also found Soul by Peter Gabriel. This is a very cool album. I've heard it's 80s. I used to be a big fan of VH1 countdowns, and I know that this album was somewhere in the top 100 of greatest albums of all time, so I wanted to give it a listen and judge for myself if it was worth it. Not a big Genesis fan, not even a Peter Gabriel fan, but I've heard this album's good, so I'm going to give it a chance. I want to put this aside for a second. And then I found this album, Pleasure Victim by Berlin. I like Berlin, well, not all their songs, but I like some of their songs. But I heard that this is one of their best albums. So this was released probably 82. So this was definitely released before the Top Gun soundtrack, which is one of the songs that they're known for, Take My Breath Away. So I'm gonna give this a listen and see if it's really one of their best albums. And then I also found it's a big crack there, but I don't care. I mean, I can replace that later. But this is the Batman soundtrack. Batman's probably one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid, so I'm gonna give this a chance. I do remember a lot of the songs here, and I kind of like them. I remember watching the video of Prince doing the Bat Dance, so I'm gonna give that a try. See if it brings back any memories. But that's Prince, the Batman soundtrack. And then I also found X by Inxs. This is one album that I didn't have. I do have this on vinyl. I actually imported that from Britain. So I'm happy that now I have it on CD so that I can listen to it on my CD player. And it's got some of my favorite songs: Suicide Blonde, Disappear, By My Side. Love that song. Bitter Tears, one of my favorite songs. It's got a lot of songs that I really like from Inxs. Now, these two next CDs are kind of special. So when I was a teenager, I would often go to swap meets, and I remember distinctly that in a booth or in a kiosk, they used to always sell these compilation albums. Not sure if they were legal or not, but they were basically mixes done by club DJs. And I used to really listen to this album, and then another one that I haven't been able to find yet, a lot when I was a teenager. And these are basically 80s flashback music, and just to kind of give you an idea of the playlist there. So a lot of this music came out when I was like a child, so I gained a new appreciation for 80s music. So through albums like this, through this compilation like this, so it kind of has a special value, sentimental value to me, and I was very thrilled to find this CD. And there's also another CD, Alternative K-Rock Flashbacks Volume 3. This one I haven't heard, but I know some of the songs here, so I'm looking forward to listening to this mix. I've actually taken CDs like this that I found in the wild and actually recorded them to tape. to get more of an authentic feel for them. So I don't know. I might end up doing this to this one, and also the Time Machine, because the Time Machine was one that I used to listen to a lot back in the day. But I'm gonna give those a try. And then I found a whole bunch of Ps1 games. We got Jet Moto 2. I haven't really played this. It didn't come with the cover, but nonetheless, looks like a fun game, so I'm gonna give it a try. And I always find these, but I've always found many versions of this exact game, but the disc is missing, and this by luck had the disc, so I ended up grabbing it. These were $1.99, so it was pretty cheap. And I also found Gundam Battle Assault 2. This is kind of a cool kind of I think it's like a Japanese anime type of game, but it's kind of like a fighting game. So my son and I were playing this actually, and we kind of liked it. And then I got one of these compilation games, the Atari Collection 1. I previewed this earlier this week, and I kind of enjoyed it. Obviously, it's kind of cool to be able to play Atari on your PS1 because of the controllers. So it's kind of nice to see those arcade versions. And then I also got GTR Crash Bandicoot Crash Team Racing. Not really a big fan of racing games, but I know Crash Bandicoot. One of the reasons I also got this is because I also found like loose discs with this game, and I'm going to show you those discs right now. So one of the discs that I found loose with that racing game was Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. I tried playing this game. It's basically like a platforming game. I've never really played a lot of the PlayStation 1 games because I really didn't get back into gaming till like basically PlayStation 3. So, but I'll probably give this a try and see how well it holds out against Mario. And I also found Crash Bandicoot Warped. So I'm presuming that this is probably the first part of Crash Bandicoot series. But this was loose along with that game right there. So I thought it was a good deal, given that it came with all these games. Okay, and then next we got our tapes. Edie Brickell and New Bohemians, What I Am. This is a single tape. Yeah, so back in the 80s, a lot of singles came in tape as well. This is an example of a tape that is a single. I know the song What I Am. I actually like the guitar intro on that. I've actually been trying to learn that on guitar. But it's a cool song. The tape is in good condition. I've already played it. So that was found at a Goodwill. Actually, it was found at a off-brand Goodwill. And then big jazz fan, so I found Stan Getz and Dizzy Gillespie, Diz and Getz. Verb is a really good label with a lot of original jazz albums. I took this home and I was excited because I only paid 50 cents for this, but then it turns out that it wasn't an authentic tape. And actually, it wasn't even the right tape. This tape here came with a bunch of country songs and whatnot. So what I ended up doing is I ended up transferring my vinyl copy of this record and putting it on tape. So I've recorded this off my vinyl, and now I have it on tape. It's not an original copy, but I might as well get my 50 cents worth. That's what I thought. So I grabbed this tape and I just recorded over whatever it had, and now it's got the music from the actual tape that I bought. And then I also found the Byrds Free Light. I think this is kind of like a greatest hits compilation of the Byrds. I like 60s music, so this was a no-brainer for me to get, especially when it was only like 50 cents. And then this is an interesting find that I got. This is actually still sealed. This is the Is Elvis Alive by Gail Brewer Giorgio. A couple of years ago, actually, probably in the early 2000s, there was a show called VH1 Confidential, which I love that show. And she was on it, and she was talking about her theories about how Elvis is still alive. And she had this book, which I recognized because when I was probably like 10 or 11 years old, 99 cent store had like dozens of these on their shelves for sale that I used to kind of pass by because I didn't think of buying a copy. But then again, I was a child, so I didn't want to, use my allowance to buy something like this. But I saw this at a thrift store and I decided to pick it up just out of curiosity. I'll probably open this up because I went online to find out how much it's worth, and it sells probably between $10 to $8. So I might as well just open it and check it out and listen to the tape and see if she convinces me about whether or not Elvis is still alive. So yeah, I guess in her time she was pretty well known. And then the last media that I bought for this thrift store haul was Beyond Two Souls. I found this at a Goodwill. There was actually a lot of PS3 games there that day, but I only decided to pick this one up because this is the only one I didn't have. I think it's kind of one of those story games. Let's see if I can open the inside. And it comes in this really nice aluminum case. So I'm going to give this game a try and see how I like it. I kind of like these story games. They're kind of cool. Okay, so that's the last of the media. Now I'll start talking about my new gadgets that I found at the Goodwill. So when I found this on the shelf, I was very excited. This is an Optimist SA-155 integrated stereo amplifier. So this tiny little thing is actually a stereo amplifier. One of the main reasons that I bought this is because if you watch V Westlife's channel, he actually owns one of these, and the benefit to owning one of these is that you have a amplifier that will play both magnetic cartridges and ceramic cartridges, which I'm excited about because when you buy those turntables that are cheap like Crosley's, you could actually plug this into this and into some speakers, and you're gonna get a decent sound out of it. So I was excited to pick this up. I like that it's small. I pretty much now have like a little amp that I can use to test things that I buy. I'm probably gonna do a whole demo on this, so I'm not gonna go get too much into details. So that's a very interesting find. And the other gadget that I found is this CD label printer. Okay, one of the cool things about this is that this actually, what you do is you pass, and actually it shows you right there. All you got to do is stick the CD in here with the label facing up, and what it'll do is you program it like any other label maker, and it'll actually print on the actual CD, which I found very interesting because I've been wanting something like this to print on CDs that I create, like mixes or whatever, because I play CDs quite a bit. I enjoy CDs. I mean, iPods are cool, and using your phone and Spotify, all that stuff is cool. But I really like to own physical media. So, and sometimes I like to burn CDs still. Yes, 20 years past that fad, yes, I still like to listen to CDs that I burn. So, but the cool thing about this is that you could do that. Unfortunately, let me see if I can show that just for a second. This ink cartridges basically kills the possibility of me printing labels anytime soon. I mean, I only paid $10 for this, but you need a cartridge, and I mean, I already tested this, and this is empty. but the cartridges run between $30 to $50, which is very expensive. And I don't know. I mean, I might end up buying one if I can find it a little bit cheaper. And I will definitely demo it if I get a neat cartridge for this, because I like to show exactly what this does. So I'm gonna give that a try. But it works. Unfortunately, when I bought it, let me see if I can put this back together one-handed. So unfortunately, when I bought this, it does have a battery compartment, which I've cleaned out already. But the battery compartment was full of battery acid. Luckily, none of the terminals were damaged, so it's looking nice and clean. You know, some of that stuff is flaking off. There we go. So fortunately, none of the ports were damaged. The batteries do work. It's just that I did find a power supply for it. I got this old DirecTV power supply that's about 12 volts and 1.5 amps, which works perfectly with this. So it works. I probably, if I can get the neat cartridge, I'll probably show a demo of this working. But for $10, I thought it was kind of cool, and I kind of been wanting a label maker for CDs, so I went ahead and took it. And then another thing that I found at the same Goodwill that I found this at was this. And these actually, this was about $6.99 and this was about $12.99, and it was 50% off for orange labels, which this one and that one had. So I ended up picking both of them up. So I thought this was kind of sturdy, and actually I thought it was a Sony, but it wasn't. It was I don't know, this brand, but it works, and it's kind of interesting because it's got its own sort of let's see if I can get this off with one hand. So what it does is you can plug this case and you load up your batteries here, and the case has this plug that goes into the power plug in there. But obviously I'm probably not going to use that because I'm not going to buy that many D batteries. So I've already tested it and I plugged it in and it works great, and I will probably show a demo of this very soon. You actually don't even have to have that on there, but I like it for just because it makes it look higher. So I will probably demo this very soon. This brand I've never really heard of, Action. And then at another Goodwill, I found this little security camera type of TV. This is black and white. This one actually color. This one's black and white. I paid for both of these. Well, this is $6.99, half of that. So I basically paid about $3.50 for this one, and this one I paid about $5. And it's basically an old school security camera, but the reason I bought this was because it does take AV, which is something I always look for TVs, like little portable TVs, because that's basically the only way you can use them. If they're only RF, then you're gonna have to rig something up to make them work with something. So just a little advice, if you're looking into picking these up, always make sure that they have an AV port. Otherwise, you're gonna have to rig something up, which I don't recommend. It's just a lot of clutter. But I'm very happy with both these finds because I was looking for a black and white TV that had an AV, and I already have one that has an AV, but it doesn't work very well. And I'm also very happy about this one because this is color, and I also have another color one, but this one has a better sound. So I'm looking forward to demoing that. I actually might end up having a shootout with all my little portable TVs just to show you guys all the different types that I can find, that I found in the wild. So that might be coming up soon. And last but not least, this is probably, I was saving this one for last because it's probably my best pickup. So these are RSL or Rogers Sound speakers. Let me see if I can get this out. So these are very well made speakers. They were such a ridiculous price that I had to pick them up. Not that I needed any more speakers. But as you can see, these are made in the US. I mean, it says Canoga Park, California, so US. It's got the banana plugs, which usually a lot of high-end speakers usually have. I will probably have to pick some up because I've been wanting to get speakers with banana plugs. But these are very well made speakers. The price that I got them was so ridiculous I'm not even going to say how much I paid for them. But I can just say that they were practically not even a half of the price that they're selling for online. Way less. So this was probably like my best find of everything, because I just spent practically nothing for them, but they were a great deal. I think the only thing that is a setback is that this speaker, see if I can get that off, has its cone sunk in just a little bit, but it's not really a deal breaker because the sound I'm going to get out of these is probably going to be much better than what I have right now in my home theater setup. So the plan for these is probably that I'm going to put them in my home theater. They're going to be my two front speakers. So I look forward to maybe demoing that possibly later on, but that's basically the end of the video. So it was nice to get out again and in the wild and pick up more stuff from Goodwill. I am kind of becoming a pack rat here, but I don't really end up keeping everything because sometimes I do end up reselling it if I have no use for it, or if my thrill of having it basically expires. I tend to move on and get something else. So that way I don't have to break the bank making these purchases. A lot of these purchases are done by stuff that I sell. So I don't end up digging too much into my own money to get these. I just kind of end up trading along until I get better and nicer things. So, but anyways, that is the video for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed it.